Hello everybody, it's The Worm. I'm back again for more Rage and Loot, and I hope you're all doing well. Last time I asked for everyone's opinion on sort of the amount of talking that I should be doing in these videos here, and it seems that the most common response was that I should be shooting for around a third of the video time, and that seems right to me. Just the reason why I asked, I'm not sure if I was that clear last time. It was, well, really, you know, you guys left a lot of really good comments, and I was talking about them, and then I ran up to that point where I realized, well, wait a second, if I keep talking anymore, most of the video is going to end up being me just responding to it. So I was left feeling kind of unsatisfied and a bit, I don't know, guilty that I was kind of moving on without properly addressing everything you guys had to say. So I guess I just have to find a way to work around that. So whether it's being more detailed in my replies to you directly, like through the comment replies on YouTube, or maybe in the future I could do something like, I don't know, specific special videos where we can talk, the whole video is just us talking about maybe something that's going on in the game I'm playing. I don't know. Maybe just something to experiment with, just because, I don't know, I wasn't feeling good after the end of last one, so. But the consensus seems to be shoot for a third, but if that's not a cast iron rule. If you go a bit above or below, that'll be fine. It'll be dependent on what goes on in the game. You know, if there's a lot to talk about, then we'll talk about it. That's how it's gonna go. Alright, so speaking of the game, let's actually talk about it, shall we? Last time, a few big things happened. Well, the feast happened. And within that feast, we learned that Yoshitsugu is the crow. That definitely came a bit out of left field. I don't think he's ever had a guardian or been a wolf or badger before, so that's definitely a new aspect to this. Shows us why, well, no, that would have been the first night, so he wouldn't have had the guardian yet. Okay, but as we saw, though, his personality paired with the guardian definitely led to a unique event occurring during the feast. That is him threatening us, essentially. And then, of course, we had the whole debacle, confrontation between Konzo and the, well, with the brothers, but mostly with Yasunaga. And so Konzo seemed to lose that encounter and was, well, he gave himself up essentially after he realized that he was basically, his emotional outbursts and unstable nature was putting the human team at risk, and so he chose to bow out, so to speak. Yeah, it was definitely a bit surprising to me how Hashimoto was kind of forced to take a minor position in this feast. But, you know, that does make some sense, because we have to remember he's in a similar situation to Haruaki, where he is an outsider, and so he does have to acquiesce to their demands at times, because he does not have the clout that they do as people from here. All in all, pretty exciting episode. Definitely didn't go the way I thought it would. One last thing I want to mention, and this is a topic we've covered twice before now, so I kind of want to put it to rest, but I hope I did not, I probably did, but I may have done a bit of an overcorrection talking about Haruaki. Basically, last time I said, you know, I wasn't defining terms as well as I should have, and maybe have had gone a bit too harsh on him. And I still think that's the case. But I didn't mean to suggest that that means I think Haruaki is an angel, or is always has, you know, the best interests of everyone in mind at all times. We saw very plainly in the last episode, he was, you know, basically talking smack to Yoshitsugu in his head. And then when Kanzo was, when he surrendered, basically, Haruaki basically, it didn't bother him at all. In fact, he said, well, that makes our job easier. Like, he was very casual, dismissive of what was a pretty, you know, a pretty sad scene, especially when you consider the fact that Haruaki caused it, you know, with his planting a mouse. And I think he acknowledged a bit of that. But that didn't seem to distress him or anything. Now, the interesting thing to say about that is this coming from being desensitized from the repeated loops, or is this more a case of him being a wolf and there being some sort of supernatural effect on Haruaki because of that? And I could see it going either way. I know Lise has talked about the desensitizing aspect, and I know that Danzy has mentioned the supernatural aspect. So I think I probably lean more to the what is this word I'm trying to think? I want to say something like desensitization. I'm not sure that's correct. But I want to lean more towards that mundane explanation. But I would definitely be willing to accept that there is, I mean, it's obvious at this point we're talking with a god with superpowers, okay? So supernatural is here. It's in front of us. So perfectly willing to accept that as an explanation for his callousness. But yeah, or it could be just a mix of both. Who knows? Or I guess you could just say it, because since the looping is supernatural already, that the supernatural explanation is causing the desensitizing. Okay, let's move on. Let's see the aftermath of this, shall we? Okay. After the feast, everyone gathered in the dining hall. With barely any words, we ate a simple dinner and went on our own ways. Takumi-san and Kanzo-san were gone now, so we didn't even have anyone to say that it was a time to go back. However, it was hard to believe they would just collapse. Hashimoto-san would plan and decide what to do tomorrow, and the Oribe brothers would do something too. I could only imagine what they were thinking of I could only imagine what they were thinking of in the window between sheltering and dreaming. Yeah, we did see at the end of the hanging of Kanzo that Hashimoto may have been a bit suspicious of Haruaki here. So we're just going to have to see if that bears fruit. Thus began our third secret meeting. We would tear their fragile plans to shreds.
さあ、約束を果たしてもらいましょう。
Yeah. Basically, the feast went so well for the wolves, considering that they basically got a free kill in. But of course, Haruaki being confident, this is sort of, you know, meta reasoning here, makes me think that, okay, you know, we have a bit too much momentum on the wolf side. There's going to have to be something that trips us up. And going after Yasunaga might be what does it, if the spider protects him. Her voice was calm but stern.
あなたの息子を楽にする。
ええ。
どっちをやるの？兄ちゃん？よし君？
They sure were excited about this. It still pissed me off.
ならないで。
As did Chiemi's face, which often flashed before my eyes recently.
その前に、もう少し二人とも、苦しんでくれませんか？
Okay. I made a smile and asked that.
苦しむ？
ええ、苦渋の決断ですよね。黄泉から落ちた息子を自分の手で、悲劇的な展開じゃないですか。春ちゃんなんて、今日、肉親が死ぬのをぬけぬけと見守ったんだよ。これじゃあ、狂人じゃないか。人として、最低じゃないですか。僕だって、この力を持って生まれた日から、ろくでもないこともたくさんしてきましたが、いるべき場所を間違えた方を送り返すには、それなりの共感と同情と、罪悪感を持ってやってきました。
This lie was such a pain at this point. I didn't even have a reason to keep telling it anymore. This lie, I think he's referring to... Haruaki had to convince both Haru and Kaori to, you know, work together in order to work as the wolves, and the lie was basically that he's basically a supernatural, he's a supernaturally gifted, what was it, like agent of sorts that was hired by Kama Fujiyoshi to figure out what was going on in Yasumizu. I'm just trying to remind myself. I think that's what he's referring to.
僕らが平然としていたら、僕らがやってることの正しさは消えるんですよ。
私たちが苦しんでないとでも？
Oh?
苦しんでるんですか？
ええ、それはもう泣いたりわめいたりするのがもう億劫だから、頑張って狂い続けているだけよ。
私はあなたに迷惑をかけたくないから。あなたと違って私たちは狂わないとあなたにはついていけない。
それでも普通は狂い方なんてみんな知らないはずなんですけどね。あと春ちゃんは僕のせいにはするな。香織さんは二人殺した後死んでくれるからいいけど、君は違うだろ。生き残れた時に君にも罪を背負ってもらわないといけないんだから。
じゃあ私も死ねばいいのかな。
そうね、死ねばいいじゃない。
I raised my leg and kicked over the bucket.
あらら。
こんな茶番たくさんだ。
なら早く済ませましょう。
そうね、早く済ませよ
う。What? You're leaving it to me? I didn't expect this. I thought we were just gonna go for Yasunaga. Okay. So Yoshitsugu has a crow. Yasunaga does not have a guardian, but is basically the leader at this point of the, what would you say? The village faction versus Hashimoto, who is kind of outsider faction. So if I were a spider, who would I pick to protect out of these two? My gut says Yasunaga. But say the spider was someone like Rikako, she would value the guardian, wouldn't she? Although the snake, quote unquote, has been revealed, and that's us. So shouldn't shouldn't the spider want to protect us in particular? I feel like if we pick Yasunaga, we're going to get blocked. Because I feel like if Yasunaga dies, that's too easy a victory then. Well, no, that wouldn't be too... No, Hashimoto still exists, so that wouldn't be the case. I'm going to go for Yoshitsugu, just because I feel like... it's almost too easy to go for him, for Yasunaga. Let's try Yoshitsugu. Get rid of the crow. It would definitely maybe cause Yasunaga to break down more. Yeah, let's go for it. We would kill Yoshitsugu Oribe. Killing the crow was a very logical move for the wolves. Even if Kanzo-san were alive, I didn't think anyone could imagine Kaori-san was a wolf actively killing her sons. Still, it was important we had to keep a consistent story.
吉次君でいいですね。
吉次。あ、吉次。わかったわ。ようやく楽にしてあげられる。
I was getting pissed off again. Was it because I was twisted in playing the part of the villain? Yet the two of them were supposed to be acting like they were the good guys.
香織さん。
何？
あなたが殺してくださいよ。
Oof. Haraki's really pushing it, man. Otherwise, the story wouldn't make sense. If the murder was done out of motherly love, the crime needed to reflect that ideology. Because there was no way she could do it. And then she would suffer. Suffer.
わかったわ。
She shouldn't be alright with it.
私もするよ。昨日は任せっぱなしだったし。
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Haruaki is, he's trying to kind of understand it too. It's, you know, he recognizes it. That's the interesting part to me.
徹底的にやるんだよ。原型が残らないくらい。
Oh my goodness. He's pushing it. He's pushing it off the cliff. He's pushing it very far now.
なんで？
痕跡を万が一にも残さないためさ。とどめを刺した後なら相手を苦しめることもない。
なるほど。わかった。
香織さんもいいですね。
ええ。
ならないで。
I mean, at this point, I'm thinking she said, like, don't become a monster or something, you know? Just, suffer. His room was just to the rear of the dining hall. It was a small room used for storage that he'd started sleeping in since 2 years back.
安永が寮に入ったことをずっと気にしていたから。寂しいものね。男の子はずっと一緒には住めないから。
Like I cared.
どうぞ。
I handed her a grass sickle laying nearby.
せいぜい頑張ってください。
I finally calmed down after watching Kaori-san wail as she chopped up her son. In the end, Haru-chan just mostly watched blankly from the sidelines the whole time. By the time we had to carry Kaori-san back to the dining hall when she'd collapsed from exhaustion, my irritation had faded. Haru-chan took care of undressing her. It would have been hard to redress her, so it seemed she just removed the outfit and put her to bed. I'm sure this is a great show for you.
つくづく狂っておられますな、町の方。
僕は狂ってるわけじゃないですよ。
じゃあなんで香織さんをあんな風に追い詰めて薄笑いなんてできるの？
Ooh, this is interesting.
安心したからだよ。
は？
僕は基本的にその場の常識や道徳観念に合わせて生きてるから、それらが狂ってると僕も狂わなきゃならない。僕は香織さんの中に息子殺しを拒もうという心があったことに安心したんだ。よかった、泣いてくれて。あれでノリノリでやられてたら腹立ち紛れに香織さんを殺してたかもしれない。
そういうのを狂っておられるというのじゃ。
なんでですか。最初に狂った方の責任は一つも取らずに、ずるいですよ。
褒めておる。貴様のおかしさは我にもまだようわかりませぬゆえに惹かれる。
僕はあなただけはお断りです。
ほう、つれなきお答えじゃ。何故？
だってあなたは何でもないです。
おしゅうございましたな。
うるさい。
Just now, I felt like I was on the verge of realizing what God was. But that sensation vanished like mist, and I returned to the prefab with dissatisfaction lingering in my heart. Okay, well, I'm glad at least he was on the verge. I was not. The part that concerned me.
じゃあなんで香織さんをあんな風に追い詰めて薄笑いなんてできるの？
Why did it go back to Haru for one line?
は？
Two lines. That can't be by accident, right? Huh. Yeah, and if there was any doubt whatsoever in Haraki's mental state, yeah. We know where we are now, I think. Although the god, you know, presumably a supernatural entity that is ancient, did say that even she cannot comprehend his abnormality, so I guess it makes sense that we're kind of struggling to narrow it down a bit. Okay. I must have been really tired. I awoke to the sound of someone knocking on the door. They were making quite a racket. I opened my eyes and looked out the window to see Haru-chan.
起きてよ、夫妻さん。
I quickly got up when I realized something wasn't right.
どうしたの？
香織さんがやばい。
That is not surprising. It was dangerous to talk about this sort of thing during the day. I looked around outside in a hurry, but couldn't tell if anyone else was out there in the mist. Still, I invited her in and locked the door so we could continue. The only issue with her going crazy is we don't know if she could, you know, reveal something.
何があった？
香織さんが朝一で兄ちゃんを
What? It was then that I finally noticed that Haru-chan's breathing was ragged. There were tear stains on her cheeks.
落ち着いて。
血がいっぱい出て。
ごめん。
どうして謝るの？
香織さんを追い詰めたのは僕だ。
I mean, you're not wrong. You totally did.
でも結局3人でみんな殺すのよ。
それが正しいなんて思わなくていい。
無理だよ。
Now wasn't the time to persuade her. I left her behind in the prefab and went outside. So what'd she do? I mean, Haru made it sound like Kaori may have killed Yasunaga. I armed myself with a stick to be safe and headed for the plaza, but by the time I got there, everything had been resolved. The dining hall was a sea of blood. In the midst of it was a blood-stained corpse that apparently belonged to Yasunaga-kun. Behind the counter I saw the adults, or rather, Hashimoto-san, pinning Kaori-san down. Hashimoto-san leaned on Kaori-san, leaving her gasping for air and moaning in agony. She must have been hurt.
スサイシ君、縄を持ってきて縛るのを手伝ってくれないかな。
I couldn't believe he still had a poker face on at times like these. The spurt of blood on his chest only accentuated the oddity of it all. Not that I was in any position to say anything about it.
わかりました。リカコさん。
こちらです。
I took Rokako-san out of the ring of people surrounding Kaori-san and got what we needed. Kaori-san screamed and raged after being bound, but in the end could do nothing as we locked her up in the dining hall. Though we were all present after I brought Haru-chan back, the oppressive atmosphere didn't fade.
Haru-chan, 大丈夫だった？ハッサンになんかされなかった？
Okay, Mochi noticed. Mochi noticed where she went.
あるわけないでしょ。話しかけないで。
Haru-chan.
First she'd lost her grandfather, and now the boy who'd been like an older brother to her. There was nothing that could possibly cheer Haru-chan up. Still, we had to do the feast, as well as decide how to handle Kaori-san before that. With Kanzo-san, Takumi-san, and Yasunaga-kun gone, Kinosuke-shi, Hashimoto-san, and I ended up being the biggest influence out of necessity. With the biggest influence out of necessity. I was a little surprised that the two of them had agreed not to torture Kaori-san from the what? Yeah, your current state of mind seems to be affecting your thoughts more and more. Yeah, and I mean, if we go back to Wit, right? The ending of Wit. It was one of the first things that really shocked me in the game. It was when Haruaki just said, hey, why don't we just torture them to death, you know? Like, you know, why don't we just do that? It's just... So, this has been... Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense, Haruaki. Okay, maybe I was the one messed up for finding that surprising, but the both of them were avoiding tormenting a fellow villager. Thus, I played along with him, knowing it'd give me an advantage. On the other hand, there was the matter of how to deal with Kaori-san. While the people of Yasumizu were calling to hang her immediately, Hashimoto-san and Mami-san had different ideas.
彼女は掟を犯したのでしょ？であればいずれ自動的に罰を下されるってことじゃないのかな。
He's smart. He's smart.
あんな恐ろしい人間を放置するのは確かにゾッとしますけど、ここは冷静になるべきかと。私たちはカラスのカゴ車を失い、さらにもう一人の人を失ったんです。遅れを取り戻さないと。ここにいるのは10人で、 昨日の牧島さんが狼だとは思えないから、狼は確実に3人残っている。その子が、ヌジナが狼に寝返るならば、狼は4票よね。まだ人の方が6票、多数派だわ。
それで余裕があるというのかね。もし今日宴で誤って人をくくれば、明日には4対3になってしまうぞ。おとなしく彼女をくくり、5対3の状況を作った方がいいのではないかね。今明らかになっているのは、猿が2人と蛇だけだ。ちなみに不妻子君、蛇の加護の結果は？
Okay. What's the play here?
はるちゃんは人だったようです。
Okay. Okay, that's the play.
これで4人。さらに、メイコがムジナで、織部香織が狼だったとすれば、残る4人の中に狼が2人。
Of course, I doubt that Hashimoto-san believes that.
2分の1の確率の勝負に出るより、人数差を保ったまま、確実に狼1人を減らす方が大事ではないかね。
Logically speaking, he was right. If the snake continued investigating with the spider protecting them, there would be no more unconfirmed people before long. If the humans could kill a confirmed wolf, they'd have more than half the votes over the wolves, and would gain plenty of time until they could secure their victory. However...
ちょっと、その時の経緯を知らないんですが、香織さんは本当に狼なんですか？義継君があんなひどいことになって取り乱した彼女が安永君を殺しただけってことは？
そりゃあないわね。さっき香織さんは言いよった。
I see.
自分は世物狼様の勘を受けた本物のお守りなんじゃと。それで読み人であるあたしらに救いを与えるんじゃと。息子はあれで救うたんじゃと。
Tai-san's eyes shifted toward the pool of blood. So, Kaori-san had confessed everything. What a handful of a teammate she turned out to be.
なんだか設定がおかしくないですか？
そういうお話も上藤吉の方にあるみたいだけどね。とにかくくくるかどうかは宴で決めればええ。香織さんは置いていくしかなかろうね。
なるほど。僕も同意ですね。そうしませんか、皆さ
ん。No one objected.
ではもう、集会堂に移動しましょうか。ああ、野里清之助さん。
何かね？
さっきの話ですが、もう一人狼が見つかるなら、話は別でしょうね。
Uh-oh. I had a bad feeling about this.
杯が回った。
Huh.
宴を始めようかね。
We're just diving right back into another one, huh? Wow. Do I want to just start the feast? I don't think I do, actually. Yeah, okay, we're not gonna start the feast. We're not gonna do that tonight. I know at some point we're gonna have to go back and do all the bad ends, but no. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna play it safe, And instead, I'm going to call it here, and I'll get a good night's sleep so I can take on the next day bright and early and full of energy, right? That's the idea. Okay. I think I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. This episode, I think, was pretty good for... It reiterated a lot of sort of what Haruaki is thinking, and I gotta agree with the god here that it's abnormal. That's definitely the word for it. So it makes sense that I'm having a difficult time kind of trying to categorize it or understand it. It's just strange. Yeah. All right. I hope you're all doing all right, and I hope to see you next time for some more Raging Loop. All right. See you then.